We're asked to graph the line of y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3 using the x and y intercepts. Recall that to find the x and y intercepts, all you have to do is let one variable be 0 in order to solve for the other variable. So one of the quickest points to find is to let x be 0. So let's go ahead and do that first. When I let x be 0, by removing the x, I replace it with 0, I can clearly see that y equals what? Notice that any number times 0 is 0, so all you have left then would be y equals 3. So what that means is when you plug in a 0 for x, what you get out for y is a 3, so your ordered pair is 0, 3. So this time we're going to leave x alone, and we're going to let y be 0. So we're going to remove the y and replace it with 0. And recall, whenever we let y be 0, when we have a fraction, it's a little bit more work than if you were to let x be 0, but certainly doable, as I've stated before. So let's go ahead and solve this equation for x. What would be my first step toward doing that? So if you said get rid of that 3, you're absolutely correct. We need to remove this positive 3. And how do we get rid of positive 3? We have to do the opposite, which is subtract 3. So the first step is to subtract 3 from each side. My next step then is to clear the fraction. And recall that if you want to clear the fraction, you take the denominator and you multiply both sides by the denominator. Now, one thing I want to mention though, if your fraction though is a negative, it would be best to multiply by the negative of that denominator. So instead of using just positive 4, let's multiply both sides of the equation by negative 4. And I'll tell you why. So we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by negative 4, because remember, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. And the reason we chose the negative of that denominator instead of the positive was because with the fraction being negative, it would have left our variable x being negative, and then you would have had to do more work toward the end. But if you use the negative number to multiply with, then you'll have a positive variable of x here, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So that leaves my variable a positive. Your variable should always be a positive when you're solving for that variable. So because whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other, let's multiply the left side. Negative 4 times negative 3 equals positive 12. So x equals 12. So that means when I plug in a 0 for y, what I get out is an x. So to put them in their places, you would have a 12 first, because that's x place, and then you would have a 0 in y's place. Your ordered pair then is 12, 0. Okay, we're ready to plot our points. Notice our graph is in tick marks of 2's. So let's get started. Our first point is 0 and up 3. The next point is over 12 and stay at 0. Line your ruler up and draw a line through the 2 points.